Well, good evening viewers, and welcome to the commemorative area of the Australian War Memorial for this special last post ceremony. My name is Richard Cruz. Shortly, a current serving member of the Australian Defence Force will read this evening's story. We would like to acknowledge the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who continue to watch the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the Australian National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Now we will hear the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century.
Good evening. My name is Lieutenant Commander Darren Cooper and I'm currently serving with the Royal Australian Navy. Today we pay tribute to Lance Corporal William Stanley Edward Burke, who was killed on active service during the Second World War. Born in Western Sydney suburb of Fairfield on the 17th of June 1918, William Stanley Edward Burke was one of 5 sons and 2 daughters, born to John Burke and Clara Burke of Carramar. Prior to the outbreak of the Second World War, William Burke worked as a press hand. Known to his family as Dude, Burke came from a strong tradition of military service, and he enlisted in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force on the 12th of March 1941. His brother Merv also served, as did 9 cousins. Burke commenced training, and in June 1941 he embarked in Sydney for overseas service, arriving in the Middle East in July. After further training in Palestine, Burke was posted to the 2nd 3rd Battalion, which was part of the 6th Division's 16th Brigade. At the time Burke joined the 2nd 3rd Battalion, it was stationed in Syria, after having fought campaigns in the western deserts in Libya and in Greece and Syria. Following Japan's entry into the war in December 1941, the 6th Division returned from the Middle East to face the growing Japanese threat in Southeast Asia. The 2nd 3rd Battalion set sail in March 1942 and spent several months as Ceylon as part of the island's garrison force. During this time, Burke was called to special duties and also spent a brief period in hospital with illness. The battalion reached Australia in August, but before long was on the move once more, embarking for New Guinea. Between September and December 1942, the 2nd 3rd fought against the Japanese along the Kokoda Trail during the advance to the Japanese beachheads. It fought major engagements at Aurora Creek, at Ovie, where Burke was promoted to Lance Corporal, and on the Sananata track. It was whilst fighting in this last location that Burke was killed in action. He was 24 years old. He was buried at the Samata War Cemetery, but was later reinterred at the British and Commonwealth War Cemetery at Bomana, Port Moresby. William's Burke name is listed here on the Roll of Honour, among more than 40,000 other Australians who died while in service in the Second World War. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lance Corporal William Stanley Edward Burke, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, in the hope of a better world. They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for watching and wish you all a very good evening.